Liskey from the National Alliance on Mental Illness Spokane joins us tonight. Thank you so much for being here for this important conversation.
Thank you for having this conversation.
And I think the first question I have for you is, how early do these conversations need to start? You know, we talked in the commercial break. I have a 4-year-old. Is that too early?
No. I think you can talk to your kids as soon as they can start to talk. You can talk about big feelings because they have them. They're expressing them. They don't understand them. And so being able to name, like, hey, are you having big feelings? Can we talk about it? Sometimes I have big feelings. So you can start really early.
Modeling that behavior.
Yes, absolutely.
Really good to hear.
And well, Kirsten has the young kids. I have a 16-year-old and an almost 14-year-old, right? And so as parents of kids in this day and age, you're thinking about Snapchat and Discord and, you know, TikTok and everything else. Now AI social companions and things like this. So, like, what are the most common mental health struggles that we see with teenagers?
I think right now the most common are anxiety and depression, and then close behind that is substance abuse and eating disorders.
And so when you start to tackle those issues that are, for some people, really uncomfortable to even say out loud, what advice do you have on starting that conversation and getting the words out?
Yes, I think it is really scary to talk about those things. And so starting at a younger age, it starts to normalize that conversation with your kiddos. So that way, I kind of joke with mine that when they are a teen, mom's talking about feelings again. Mom's been talking about feelings for years. And so normalizing that conversation and not waiting for our kids to come to us to tell them that something's wrong. When we notice maybe they're isolating themselves, maybe they're not hanging out with friends that they used to hang out with, as soon as we know, we're parents, we get that gut feeling like, hey, something's going on. Starting that conversation, I've noticed that you haven't been hanging out with the same friends. Can we talk about what's going on? Something along those lines, and opening that door. Most of the times they will be happy that you notice that you're asking because something potentially is happening.
You know, we hear from experts all the time, like signs like withdrawal, right? Like being just on their phone or going into the room and closing the door. But like, if you're notice something's maybe off a little bit, when do you know, or when is it, you know, becoming dangerous or maybe harmful for your kid, and how do you start acting on that?
Like I said, I think right away is always the best option. As soon as your gut tells you, just open the door and have that conversation. I think we sometimes forget that we are parents, we're the parents, and so we can say, hey, it's time, put the phone down, put the tablet away, we need to talk about this, and really engage in that conversation. And if it's never too late, right? Like, we can always have that conversation. Go into the room and talk with them about what's going on. And it's hard. It's a scary conversation. I can easily say it here, but when you're going to do it, we're afraid we're going to say the wrong thing. We're afraid we don't know the answers or what to do next if they do tell us something's wrong. But there's experts, there are people in our community, there are people to support parents through those conversations because it is scary and can be hard.
Sure.
And let's say a parent has gone and gotten some help, some treatment for their teen. That's just the first step. What, like we talk about, the rest of the community that's kind of coming around. NAMI Spokane has so many resources for parents, and the school districts do too.
They do. I think we offer peer support, so people living with mental health conditions supporting others, and that's such a great aspect. In between maybe counseling, they're sitting with peers and talking about their mental health, keeping that conversation going. So there are people in schools, there are community groups that can help. We're kind of sprinkled everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's great. And right before you came out, we talked about, you know, 2 recent instances of teenagers taking their own lives. So why do teens going through mental health struggles often resort to self-harm?
I was speaking with a therapist friend right before this, and that is a big question. It's a really hard question to answer. I think sometimes kids are experimenting with, like, what does that feel like? Will this give me some relief? And so as soon as you notice any signs of self-harm, you have to get someone involved. Don't wait if you notice signs of self-harm.
And there are plenty of places to go. We have in the Northwest Behavioral Health, the hospital systems. There are treatment centers, Frontier Behavioral Health. We're going to continue to talk about those. How does NAMI Spokane help after the patient has been stabilized and the treatment is starting to be a part of the normal life.
Yeah, we actually can help before, because like you said, you just named so many places. It can be overwhelming, not knowing where to go or how to do it. We actually have staff that will help explain those resources and connect people with those resources. So we can help before getting connected, and then after we have support groups, we have educational courses. I know one of the courses that is really wonderful in our community is Family to Family, where family members come in and learn about their loved one's mental health condition and how do they support them. And so it's an ongoing journey.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation.